This is the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandan Schultz of Military Seahawkers, and joining me, we're both broadcasting from the road, my good buddy, Adam Emmert.
Made it. Here I am.
Hey, we made it after the last game and before the next game, so I feel like we're just right in the sweet spot of between doing this correctly.
Well, I mean, yeah, technically. I mean, we're going to talk about the last game, even though there's not a crap ton to talk about with that. And, think about the next game. So I think, yeah, just like you said, right in the sweet spot.
Right in the sweet spot. It's preseason. Yeah, we're working this out. It's the off season, technically still kind of. And people get on us, Adam, about getting this out sooner. And I totally understand. Like, we're just a little bit behind, and I appreciate everyone's grace. Well,
if you have anybody to blame and you want to be mad at somebody, you can call IFG Lumber Company and yell at them, because I was comfortably at the cabin for a whole night. I've been waiting for like almost the whole summer, and I get a phone call, emergency wheel grind in Lewiston, Idaho, and I got to drive all the way over here and do that today. And that was a joy, let me tell you. I'm not exhausted and I'm not super sore, so this is going to go great.
Okay, well, good. Well, let's get right into it. The Seahawks get a 22-14 win over the Broncos to kick off Week 1 preseason. Finally, we don't have...
Wait, you messed up. Our annual preseason win over the Broncos.
Usually we beat them, but this season, I feel like my main takeaway from the game was that we might have a little bit of depth. And maybe it's because we have depth at quarterback, and Paxton Lynch was so fired up to dominate his old former team that he was just running over dudes trying to get to the end zone. And actually, Paxton Lynch looked pretty decent in Week 1 action.
Yeah, he looked okay against, a bunch of backups that apparently that was his vendetta game. So congratulations. The thing about Paxton Lynch is I hear people being like, well, maybe he can really play and this is exciting and all that good stuff. Well, he still can't play, and I don't really need to have him on the team. What I do hope is that he shows well enough that when we cut him, he can get picked up by another team, and then he continues his career somewhere else and actually, has a modicum of success. But just not here.
You wish the guy well, but not in Seattle.
Right.
So you think that you're sold on Geno Smith then?
No, Geno looked like Geno too. What I'm sold on is the fact that Russell Wilson doesn't miss games, and that if he does happen to miss, like, say, more than 2 to 3 games during the season, we're screwed anyways. So what's the difference?
The difference to me, I guess, would be that at least with Paxton Lynch, he has some time to grow, and he could maybe be the backup for the team for many years.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what I want to have happen. I don't think you heard everything that I said before.
No, okay. Yeah. I don't know what the best option at backup is. I guess you want to have
They should have brought in Fitzmagic as the backup.
That's true. I like me some Fitzmagic.
Yeah, he's an awesome backup. Like, if you're really concerned about backup quarterback, then that's what you do. If you don't give a rip, which clearly the Seahawks don't, you run the likes of Geno Smith and Lynch and who's the guy that Boykin and
Austin Davis,
Magoo and Austin Davis. You just don't care. What you need in the quarterback room, and this is the thing that's getting overlooked in this quarterback competition, is which guy is going to pull Russell Wilson aside and let him know that the man bun is wholly unacceptable. And this has to change, because that's what's important with the backup quarterback position, is what they do in the quarterback's room and how they influence Russell.
He needs to tell Russell Wilson when he has a good hairstyle and when he doesn't have a good hairstyle, because we've seen a lot of experimentation over the offseason, and I feel like it's getting worse and not better.
Right. But this is plumbing new depths for sure. And I think that we could just do away with the man bun, and then any other hairstyle would be fine.
Now, I think we had somebody in our Facebook Ring of Honor group that pointed out that it wasn't technically a man bun because it wasn't so bunnish. I don't know how to tell the difference and what the technical term for what Russ was actually wearing after we found out that he purchased the Seattle, or he bought in to the Seattle Sounders.
Yeah, I'm glad you rephrased that because you got me earlier today with that on the phone. You're like, oh, yeah, Russell bought the Sounders. I was like, say what? You're like, no. Yeah. He bought a stake in the Sounders. Like, oh, that sounds more reasonable.
Top knot. That's what it is. It's apparently not a man bun. It's a top knot.
I don't care what you call it. It ain't good.
Okay, well, hopefully we aren't going to see that in the game coming up against the Vikings. Was there anything that you saw that excited you about this upcoming season?
I like that Justin Myers was really close on his first forever long kick and then made the other one.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Jason Myers, one of the Myers. Yeah, generic first name.
Jay Myers. I don't know. He hasn't been on the team long enough for me to remember. Okay.
Well, every week we can just pick a different J name. He could be Jim, John,
Josh.
all the J names.
Mm-hmm. Jerry with a J.
Yeah, I can already tell this is going to be a thing now.
So, congratulations to Jay Myers on that. No, that was good.
But it was special teams overall, right?
Correct.
I mean, you had on the very first play, you got Shaquem Griffin just blazing down and getting him inside the 20.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a lot of special teams plays, except for the special teams penalties by our fullback that won't make the team.
Right. So there's that. But really, you saw an emphasis in this last draft for guys that could also play special teams. And it showed up in preseason week 1, which, you can only take so much out of that. I thought Amadi looked pretty good out there making plays. That was exciting.
Got to see Shed back.
Mm-hmm. So it was kind of one of those games that I watched it, and unlike preseason games in the past, there wasn't anybody that really shined. I guess the only thing that maybe I took away from it was DK Metcalf was open on 2 bombs, and Geno couldn't hit him. And Russ is going to hit at least 50% of those.
The other thing was the hit by Marquise Blair. That was kind of his. We knew that he could hit people.
It was okay.
He got flagged.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer of a flag. I felt like it was a legal hit.
Yeah, I think we saw Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor talking on Twitter saying, oh, this isn't football anymore because he got flagged for the hit.
Right. Well, I mean, Cam, you'd probably still be playing football if they didn't let you hit like that.
Yeah, it does seem weird that Cam would be complaining about that. We still see big hits in the NFL.
Sure.
Although they usually get flagged.
It's just different now. It's a different game, and that's fine. I heard a podcast the other day where they were talking about Brady and him being 42 and, how that compares to previous older quarterbacks. And they brought up Joe Montana in the twilight of his career and how he was a China doll and didn't play all that well in his last year in Kansas City and at the age of 38. Yeah. Because it's completely freaking different. Joe Montana was still taking a freaking beating back there in the pocket. Like, you could still go at people's knees. You could still dog them in the head. You could ragdoll a guy. You can't do any of that stuff anymore. And usually when a quarterback is ready for retirement is when they're done taking hits. It's not because they don't have the arm. It's not because they don't have the knowledge anymore or even the physical ability. It's because they're tired of getting hit.
Yeah.
And Brady just doesn't get hit. That's partly because of the way he plays. But, yeah, it's a different league now. It's just different. And so do I think somebody like Joe Montana could have played later into his career in today's day and age? Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just different. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. And so when players complain about the idea, well, it's not football anymore. Yeah, I like defense. And I like seeing a great defense being played. A track meet of a football game is honestly kind of boring. But it is what it is, and it's not going to return to like 80s football.
Right. They're not going to say, oh, let's bring them back those big hits. And especially when I hear a guy like Ken Norton Jr., the defensive coordinator, talking about how he feels now into his late 50s and saying, you know what, this is probably a good thing because guys like me who played a physical style of defense in our day, we're feeling it now. And so to hear it from a guy like that who's involved with the defense today and also lived through the physical defense of his day in the NFL, that's kind of one of those voices where I listen to and go, he's probably right. He knows what he's talking about.
If there's anybody that is qualified to make such a judgment, I think Ken Norton Jr. is one of those fellas. But speaking of linebackers, I thought Cody Barton played pretty well.
I think Austin Calitro played every single snap but one. He had that nice pass breakup on 4th down.
I'd say one thing that disappointed me a little bit was Mingo's performance as a pass rusher.
Yeah.
I understand he got a sack, but that was against third stringers.
Yeah, well, it was weird seeing Jacob Martin in there so late, too. He was in there against the third stringers.
Well, he's a guy that I think they just want to get a lot of run with him just for experience sake. And maybe that's a little bit with Mingo, too. It's just, okay, you haven't done this in a minute. You know, you haven't been asked to be like a pure pass rusher. Here's a few reps so that you can, you know, brush up on your technique.
Yeah.
Right now, it looks like, as far as Mingo's concerned, he's a great backup pass rusher, but he's not a stud pass rusher.
Well, and he probably will be technically the backup once you have Ziggy Ansah going full time. You get LJ Collier back. He's probably the guy that you would like as depth at that position, or rotational,
depending at the number. But we have the cap space to keep him for the year.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think he's kind of an O'Brien Schofield if you go back to 2014, 2013 time frame.
Yeah, a guy who's not Irish but looks like he has a name that should be Irish.
Right.
Yeah.
Receivers, we didn't see Tyler Lockett. We didn't see Jerron Brown out there. But you mentioned DK. Got to see some Jazz Ferguson. Is he going to be our new Kaysen/Karen Williams?
Yeah, so the question always is in these preseason games, who's the guy that you fall in love with? You know, whether it's Pope or, you know, just there's been guys throughout the years, right? You kind of get a little preseason crush on.
Yeah, Nick Reed on the defensive line.
There are some people super jazzed about Ferguson.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And he actually made some nice plays and looks like he could belong. So, that, I mean, it's just interesting. I mean, he's got the same sort of measurables as DK, and we'll see what happens.
Just doesn't quite have the muscle build as DK.
Yeah, I mean, that dude's just yoked. So, like, good luck catching up with that. But Gary Jennings got out there and did some things. It sounds like he had a nice day of practice yesterday. Kind of lit it up.
From what Russell said, had his best day of practice, and that he really needed it at this point. Yeah,
and Shoddy saying that he was borderline dominant.
Could be interesting to who we see get those last two spots if they go to 6 receivers.
I think you go to 6 this year.
Yeah.
Just because of the idea that you have a lot of unproven guys, you might as well keep a few of them around just in case somebody stumbles.
The running game was interesting to me, how everybody was hurt. And maybe I shouldn't be surprised because CJ Prosise is part of that group. But the fact...
CJ who?
I believe his name is Prosise?
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 Oh, that guy. That's the guy that we paid just to stand around in street clothes. That's right. I forgot about him.
Yeah, but also missing J.D. McKissick and Travis Homer, the 6th-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And Bo Scarborough gets injured. So really, we see a little bit of Penny. Didn't see much out of him. I felt like all his good runs got called back, and then he had the screen pass.
Yeah. I did like Scarborough, though. I like that thumping style, man. Like, I'd be a fan of keeping him around.
I know. Well, I think from everything that I hear about Travis Homer is he has that thumping style, too. So if we can hopefully see that, that's one of the things I'm going to be looking for in this game against the Vikings. Who at running back now are we going to get to see on the field? Because I think Carson Penny is obvious. And, I feel like we're getting in the weeds then, like wondering, who's going to be the third running back, as if it's going to matter too much.
Welcome to the preseason, Brandon.
I know.
Welcome to the preseason. This is what people talk about.
We talk about all the players on the margins until it's actual NFL season.
Guys that will see very little playing time if they do make the roster.
But it's interesting to me.
No, it is. It is interesting to a degree, for sure.
Well, let's talk starters for the game coming up in Minnesota, because I know you were concerned, and you can talk about this in terms of the Broncos game too, but I know you were concerned about the depth, particularly at defensive back.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to see, going in this game against Minnesota, I want to see the starters, Trey Flowers, Shaquille Griffin, going up against Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Because I think that's going to be a good test for them. We'll probably get to see them a little bit more action from the starters in this game. And Rivers always torches us, so we'll have that to talk about next week going into the game against the Chargers.
Yeah, he's got Pete Carroll's number. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
But beyond just Flowers and Griffin, like I'm really excited to see, McDougald back out there at some point. And then also, just is it going to be Lano Hill? Is it going to be, T2? Like who's the other safety going to shake out to be?
It sounds like it's going to be T2. And it was Tedrick Thompson that made that touchdown saving tackle. Man, the run defense was rough in that game, especially on the opening drive. See, you tried to tell me that the Broncos weren't a running team when we talked about this on the last show. When we talked about running teams, Broncos look like they're going to be a running team when they ran against the Seahawks in week 1 of the preseason.
Well, again, it's week 1 of the preseason. Who's actually showing their playbook? Give me a break. I
think they're going to be a running team.
Yeah, we'll see.
If you had Joe Flacco, what would you do? Would you be pass happy?
I would just fold up my tent for the year and just vacate every game. Just give up.
Yeah.
Forfeit. They're going to have to suffer through a couple years of Flacco, man, because Locke is a ways away.
I didn't realize that Flacco was still that young. He's in his early 30s.
He's like 30 going on 68, the way his body holds up. But yeah, and then also the other safety that you could, throw it in the mix is Blair, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, they drafted him that high for a reason.
When I looked at the ESPN depth chart, I didn't see the depth chart out on Seahawks.com yet, but they had him down even past, they had him at strong safety, and they had him behind Lano Hill.
Interesting.
And that could be with him being pretty limited throughout the offseason. That was really the first time we even really got to hear about him having significant action, apart from a few days here and there in practice.
Right, because the last pod that we did, we said he's been nowhere to be found.
Oh, yeah, and then he had
practice while we were recording the podcast.
And people the YouTube comments are, what are you guys talking about? He had a great practice today. Oh, yeah, that's
cool. Yeah, when you're actually recording while that's happening, it's tough to talk about it, Space-time continuum things.
We got to go back. See, we got to record the show in 2 different ways, and then that way when we're done, we'll just record us saying good or bad in multiple different ways, and I can edit those in, and it would be Lano Hill had a good day.
There we go. Yeah, no, but the other option here, Brandon, because I think this would be much better. I have a bead on a DeLorean. I know where one lives.
Nice.
And we can just go get that. I just need some gigawatts and a flux capacitor.
Yeah.
And we can go back and fix everything.
Okay. If we're going to use our time machine for good, we go back and we re-record the last episode properly, giving Marquise Blair his due in practice. And then we come straight back to the present.
Yeah, out of all the things to try to correct throughout the course of history, like the mistakes, like that would be the one. Not like genocides or things like that. That stuff needs to happen. We got to thin out the herd. And that's what's going to happen to this roster in a couple of weeks, because there's going to be some cuts. We're going to thin out the herd. Not like a genocide. Like they'll just be cut.
Yeah, right. And not cut like physically, just removed from the roster.
Right. No, they're not going to hire like a gang to meet each person out of the VMAC that's not meeting the team and just I
cut you
2 times. Yeah.
We're going to want a DeLorean for next week now and go back and go, you know what? We really should have done something differently last week.
Here's the thing. I'm not sure that if we had gotten in the DeLorean after each and every episode and tried to fix each and every episode, that it would be for the better. I think it would be a detriment. This is gold, and I don't care what anybody thinks anymore.
Being at Podcast Movement in Orlando, they're going to put this on display tomorrow and say, see what came out of this great week. It's shows like this.
It's shows like this. Duh. Of course. You better walk away from this conference with an award.
Speaking of which, you know what? If we're going to talk about awards, we are not in the finals of the podcast awards this year.
Oh, my stars. What are we going to do?
I think we're going to keep going.
Yeah, probably. Is it because we didn't talk about it at all?
I felt like I announced it at the beginning of a couple episodes.
Did you? Okay.
But you didn't. And you know what? You're the better one at motivating people to do things, I think, between the two of us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got the carrot stick thing down, dude.
So I don't know if I should blame you or the listeners.
This one feels like it's me.
Okay.
I'll fall on this sword.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get back to it next year.
Yeah.
So coming up against the Vikings, anything else you're looking for?
I'd like to see all the offensive linemen play.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. Oh,
but
like
maybe
you
they don't really need it. Yeah, and Fluker.
Yeah, and Dwayne Brown sat out.
Yeah.
But that's fine.
I mean, that's
all the starters sat out.
They really did. And that's fine. I mean, it sounds like Justin Britt took the day off yesterday from team activities, so that's interesting in and of itself, too. But it's just going to be really difficult to tell what this offense is really going to look like until after Game 3. You'll get a rough idea then.
Oh, great! That's the Los Angeles game.
The offense doesn't play Phillip Rivers.
That's true.
And they're supposed to have a great defense this year because, if the Rams aren't going to work in L.A., like the next team that the NFL is going to shove down everybody's throats is the Chargers.
Now you got me back to worried again. Why should I be worried about week 3 of preseason? I just know what's going to happen. Phillip Rivers is going to torch the Seahawks defense, and it's going to be that one game where we see the starters play for a half, and then we're going to be all worried going into the regular season, and ultimately it's going to be fine.
Yeah. Now you nailed it.
Okay.
You basically just did the post-game podcast for week 3.
We should probably stick to week 2.
But first road game for all the rookies. That'll be an interesting experience for them in an environment that is a hostile one, I'm sure, even in preseason.
Yeah.
Those fans are good fans, the Vikings fans.
Well, it's a good thing they have good fans because I don't know about this Vikings team this year. It's another year with a mediocre quarterback.
Yeah, it is. They do have a solid enough team that they might be able to go far with a mediocre quarterback. But, I mean, that kind of... You're looking around the NFC and you're like, who really is the cream of the crop? I mean, do you believe in the Rams after their humiliating loss in the Super Bowl? Not really. And then who else? The Cowboys? Sure. Yeah, with all their turmoil, that's great. I don't worry about them. Who else is everybody touting? The Vikings?
Well, I think you look at the Bears out of that division.
No. That was a flash in the pan last year, man.
Oh, you think
so? And they
so?
lost a ton of dudes on defense. Yep. Yeah, that's a team I didn't buy into going into last year. Overachieved a little bit, and they're going to come back down to earth for sure.
You got Green Bay still?
Aaron Rodgers is a dick.
Catfish!
Like, he's gone full dick.
Catfish!
Like, that's what he is now. Like, him going after the coach and practices and all that stuff already. Quit being a crybaby shit.
Catfish!
Aaron Rodgers.
I do feel like there's going to be some... Because isn't he already crying about how he doesn't have as much flexibility to do with the offense that he wants to do?
I don't like the audible system.
Right.
I think joint practices are stupid. I'm going to take my football and go home and double check my discounts.
Maybe this might be the Lions' year to break out then.
I don't know, man. It's tough to believe in Matt Stafford.
But Matt Patricia could get that defense together. I don't know.
Yeah, wake me when a Bill Belichick disciple does well as a head coach.
Okay.
Then we can talk about it.
Man, you are all about just crapping on all the NFC teams this week.
Well, screw them. They're in our conference, and we're going to beat them all. And we're going to come close to your annual 16-0 prediction.
Nice. We haven't talked about my annual 16-0 prediction very much.
Well, because that's getting your hopes up, and then they get dashed. See, it's all about managing expectations, Brandon. If you think everything's going to suck, you're never disappointed. I mean, I said this to a dude at the Milton.
Because then you're either going to be right, and you can be happy being right, or you can be just impressed that things went so well.
Yeah. Like today, I was like, it's not going to work when we try to turn it on, because it never works when you try to turn on the machine.
Yeah.
Like it's an hour-long process every time, for whatever reason. And I've just grown to accept it. And then I was like, yeah, that's not going to work. He's like, I've got good luck. It's totally going to work. I was like, nah. And you know what? It did work. Like for the first time in forever, like on the first try. Especially at that mill. And he was like, see? And I was like, see? Now I'm pleasantly surprised.
All right.
Some people say that's a negative way to live life. But see, really, it makes the end result always positive. Your negativity makes things positive.
You know what? We may have come across just a new philosophy for life that is a great way to live and maybe would stress people out a lot less.
Yeah. Somehow I'm still stressed out about things. I'm not sure why.
Oh, well, that could be a problem.
Like Russell Wilson's man bun. I'm still stressed out about that. That I can't get it out of my head.
We can rant more on it later in the show. We can save it for then. I'm interested, while we're in the NFC, I'm interested in this Ezekiel Elliott situation.
Are you?
Well, I just think that if Chris Carson has another good year, the way running backs are, I don't blame Ezekiel Elliott for wanting to get paid right now. Because for a running back, especially if a guy is taken in the first round and he has the 5th-year option, they have to wait forever to get paid. And by the time they get to the point to where they want to get paid, they're not as good. And teams are looking to move on and not pay the next guy. So I can see why running backs go, hey, as a first rounder, I've got 3 years of production. I need to be paid because this is my prime. And if I go another 2 years, I'm going to be out of my prime and I'm not going to be able to make the money that I can make right now.
Yeah, the shelf life is incredibly short. It's maybe 5 years tops?
Yeah. Well, we lived it with Sean Alexander.
Yeah, and if you go through your rookie deal and you get the 5th-year option exercised, and then let's say they even franchise you another year, now you're 30. Who's paying it? Or not only that, but it's creeped over the years, right? It used to be like when a guy hit 30, everybody's like, oh, don't pay him. He's now 30. Now I hear the phrase all the time, well, he's approaching 30.
Right.
So that's like 27 up.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where you are after that rookie deal. And nobody's going to want to pay you.
No. And look at Todd Gurley. They wouldn't make that deal now. And
because it was a stupid contract to start with. They didn't have to pay him. And they were just like, well, here you go.
Well, now Zeke wants his.
Good luck with that.
But that's what makes me think, too, Chris Carson, he will be at the end of 3 years after this season, going into the 4th year of his contract. He doesn't have a 5th-year option because he wasn't a first-round pick. We could be looking at a Chris Carson holdout at this time next year.
Unless they offer him something reasonable and he accepts it.
Well, okay. Maybe a semi-realistic option. If you're Chris Carson, though, don't you just wait?
You don't have any time to wait as a running back.
Yeah.
You keep getting them checks now. Like, that's it.
I'm curious what kind of deal that they would offer Chris Carson at this point that he would even be willing to.
Okay, so let's say he has a year similar to last year, right? Where in a lot of ways his production was a top tier back.
Yeah, it puts him at the top of the league.
Right, and so that's what his agent's going to be asking for. And, if I'm John Schneider, you know what I say?
No.
Bye-bye.
You have Rashad Penny on the roster now. And you hope that...
Until you don't. Then you draft another guy. Then you find another 7th rounder. Maybe Travis Homer becomes good. Like, you don't pay him. You don't. That sounds cruel, and it's terrible because I'm a huge Chris Carson fan. I love the way he runs. I like his effect on the team. He's the guy that I want to see get the rock the majority of the time when the ball's being ran. But the fact of the matter is I'm not investing long term with big money in a running back. Never. I'm never going to do it. Never going to do it.
Who does that song? It's not never going to do it. It's never going to get it.
Oh, never going to get it. Well, there you go. That's even more apropos. Chris Carson, never going to get it. Never going to get it.
Taking you back to the hits of the 90s.
You're welcome.
Or maybe, yeah, probably early 90s.
Somewhere in there.
Since we're just kind of going, this is a pretty random show with both of us being on the road. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure that we give a shout out to one of our listeners for a long, long time, Kofi.
Oh, yeah.
He went back and he put together the top 5 rants of Adam Emmert and put together a pretty amazing video.
It actually was hysterical. And it's weird to listen to yourself talk because I rarely go back and listen to shows. And I think he nailed it. He had some of my more favorite ones in there. For sure.
I will put a link in the show notes for Kofi's YouTube video because just to listen to Adam's rants, it's part of it. But the video, it makes it's all
awesome.
worth it.
His video work there was amazing.
And starting with the first one, I remember this rant well, where you were going off on the dude who it was Jermaine Gresham went to go toss the football to a
Bengals fan. Because he played for the
Cincinnati
Bengals at the time. Yeah.
I'm racking my brain. I'm like, okay, he plays for the Cardinals now. Who is he? Yeah. He played for the Bengals then. He was in New Orleans, and he goes to toss it to a Bengals fan. And some jerk from New Orleans just snatches the ball right out of the air right in front of her. And the images that Kofi puts along with the rant, it had me in stitches.
That's the part that made it funny. Like, I don't even know if the rant was any good. Like, really, the video work is what makes it.
Yeah.
I am deeply appreciative for that. That was really fun. I've never thought in a million years somebody would put together a small YouTube tribute to some of the dumbass things that I say.
You got to check it out.
It's a little Cable Thanos-y, but better. It doesn't feel like an acid trip. So that's nice.
See, Kofi's lobbying for a job with Russell now. Because you saw Cable Thanos got the job with the Wilson team. Why
did Russell Wilson hire a crackhead?
He's not a crackhead.
Those videos come from the head of a meth addict. Like, they have to. I don't know how big this guy is, but, I think he used a name to make him sound bigger than he is. So I think I can insult him and get away with it. I think it's going to be fine. And in fact, if he did get offended and want to fight over it, I could just point somewhere and yell squirrel, and he would be totally confused for at least 15 minutes, and I could just beat the hell out of him.
Don't do meth.
Yeah. Recurring theme in the show.
I like the videos, Adam.
Most people do. Some people like short shorts and man buns too. But, what can I say about that?
You're growing into an old man who sits on his porch and shakes his fist at everything that's outside of your comfort zone.
Is there anything more fun?
Getting into our Seahawks podcast Pick'em League.
Yeah, that is more fun.
I've got the link now, seahawkerspodcast.com/pick'em. And you can, once you go to that link, you enter the league ID, which is 4211, which is Lano Hill and Gary Jennings. And then you put in SHP12 for the password, Seahawks Podcast, SHP12, and you're in.
Okay. That's a lot of letters and numbers.
I feel like it's more complicated. We're going through the Yahoo Pick'em this year, thanks to suggestions from our members of the flock. And I think this is going to work out. This is good.
Since we're men of the people, we took in their input and we decided to heed it. And I think it's for the better. I had frustrations with the Pick'em League last year, too. The one thing that is super cool is that you do get to, write off a week, right? Like drop your worst week.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things we're going to do this year, because you can, kick out a whole week and say, if you missed your picks, if you had a terrible week where you're just off your game, it's not going to count toward the final score.
Yeah. Or if nothing in the league made sense for a week for no reason.
Well, week one is tough for people anyway.
Oh, yeah. Good luck.
Maybe we should toss out 2 weeks.
This isn't about attaining a perfect score, Brandon. I think one is good because that affords you the opportunity to make up for the fact if you lose a week.
Yeah.
If you forget to put in your picks.
That's a good point. Okay. We don't need to go. So I don't need to go crazy with dropping weeks.
No, you don't need to go crazy with that. But you did go crazy buying prizes. There's some serious swag to give away this year.
Okay. I went to Mill Creek Sports when I was on my Seattle vacation. Part of the reason why our episode is late is because I decided to take a vacation when the Seahawks were starting their first week of the preseason game. I didn't even make it to the game, which is unfortunate.
Did you? But I did. Did you schedule this or did the missus schedule this?
It was a collaboration of scheduling.
Oh, wow. Way to protect her and not throw her under the bus. That's cool.
Well, I knew I was going to be in Orlando for Podcast Movement this week. And
which is basically vacation.
Which is basically vacation for me. And if I were to do it after this week for our Seattle trip, then it would be too close to the start of school for the kids. So it was, we'll just say it was the school. I don't know. We have to blame somebody, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it feels like school district number 7. It's their fault.
That's who we pin it on. But it did give me the opportunity to go out to Mill Creek Sports and get some amazing prizes. Because not only we had the Doug Baldwin signed football from our associate producer Dustin Mock, we got I have a Shaquille Griffin signed mini football. I've got a Cliff Averill signed football, a Nas Jones signed football. And I had to get this, Adam. And I didn't even wait for your permission. It was a Michael Dixon full-sized and a full-size Seahawks helmet that's inscribed with "Punters are people too."
You shouldn't have. I can't believe you bought that for me. That's so amazing.
I don't know what, and I'm not even done with the prize list, so I'm not sure how we do prizes this year. We might have to go to like top 10 deep and just say the person who gets the top prize, you get to pick first. Because there's other good prizes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I have a Russell Wilson signed action green mini helmet. I have a Cam Chancellor signed mini helmet. I have a Michael Dixon signed mini helmet. I have a Russell Wilson signed 8x10. And here's all of the signed 8x10s that I got there. I got Russell Wilson, KJ Wright, Jermaine Ifedi, Michael Dixon, Justin Britt, Jaron Reed, Chris Matthews with the play that won helped win the NFC Championship, where he's catching the football between Jordy Nelson and Brandon Bostic. I got 2 Thomas Rawls signed photos, Robert Turbin, Jeremy Lane, and J.R. Sweezy.
There you go. So why is the helmet green?
The Russell Wilson? Yeah, it's an action green, or is it? It might even be kind of a shiny green.
It's green.
It's green.
The helmet.
The
they don't
helmet's
wear green helmets.
No, but they have signed white helmets too.
That's weird too. Well, that only makes some sense just because then like the writing would show up.
Yeah.
I will say this though. The other day I was watching the top 100, and I think it was B-Wags or it might have been Russell's, right? And they're showing highlights, and the girlfriend walks by, and she's like, "Good Lord, what is going on with those jerseys?" And they were wearing the action green.
Yeah.
And she's like, "That's ugly." She's like, "You know what? That's an accent color. That shouldn't be a full
Oh my
uniform."
gosh.
I hadn't even said anything about it.
You hadn't even said anything?
Nope. It's true love, Brandan. It's true love.
Clearly, you two are meant for each other.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not even done with the prizes. I have a $50 Fanatics gift card. I've got pairs of Shaquem and Shaquille Funko Pop figures.
Oh, that's kind of fun.
Yeah. I've got a couple replica Super Bowl rings. I have a Walter Jones signed card with a Super Bowl 40 ticket stub.
Cool.
A signed Walter Jones rookie card. A Steve Largent 1984 Topps card. I've got a Matt Hasselbeck. Cool. I've got a Matt Hasselbeck card with an authentic piece of game-worn jersey.
A piece of the jersey?
It's a piece of a game-worn jersey.
Somebody cut it up to make more money? They subdivided Matt Hasselbeck's jersey?
Yeah, and put it into a football card.
Now, that's interesting. Okay.
And they cut it into 250 pieces, and this is number 44 of 250.
Did they use the world's tiniest pair of scissors? 250 pieces?
That's maybe a 2-inch square.
That's okay. All right.
And
now I know what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Like, I'm going to become somebody who buys jerseys, game-worn jerseys, and then cut them up into pieces and mark it up and make more profit. That's how I get out of doing sawmill work. I'm going to be a jersey subdivider. That's what I'm going to do.
It's like real estate, except on a much smaller scale.
Right. Yeah. I'm going to flip jerseys.
You know what else we could do? They have the Seahawks sell the pieces of field turf in like, I don't know, they're maybe 6 by 6 inch by 6 inch squares.
Yeah, that's too much turf.
That's too much turf. Yeah. You could totally subdivide that turf into smaller pieces.
Right. Man, this is genius. But what should the website be called? Seahawks Tiny Pieces? Tiny Pieces of Seahawks Stuff? .com?
tinypiecesofseahawksstuff.com.
Yeah.
We better have a listener go out and register that domain.
Okay.
And redirect it to go to seahawkerspodcast.com.
Yeah, 7% of the earnings to them. Well, let's make it 12% just so it feels like good karma. That feels
like the right amount of percent.
Right. And then I'm going to screw everybody else by subdividing all this memorabilia. I mean, you know what? The other thing, why stop there? Let's get a helmet and I can get out the angle head grinder with a cutting wheel on it. We just go to town.
You know what we do? I'm down to the last prize, and this seems like the perfect prize to subdivide. It's a CJ ProSize limited edition flawless football card with a piece of player worn jersey, or it says a piece of player worn material. It might be some of the pants. And we could subdivide the CJ ProSize card into multiple prizes.
Yeah, here's the thing though. If you do that with a CJ ProSize, thing, like the pants,
it goes up in
card,
value.
You're gonna get hurt while you're doing it. Yeah, you're guaranteed injury.
Okay.
You'll like be in the middle of like cutting the card, and you'll be like, "Oh, my liver," and you'll just be hurt.
That's good. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, we want to keep that intact, just for our own personal safety.
For everybody's personal safety. Yeah.
Is it like the ring? So like once you touch a piece of the cut up football card that you're going to suffer some major life injury?
Yeah. You'll be sitting on the couch and all of a sudden you'll blow all the CLs in your knee at once. They'll just explode. Now you have a bad knee.
We don't want that. Do we even want to give away the card itself?
I don't think so. That feels like bad karma.
Now I feel bad for even buying it.
You should get that out your house, dude. You can't have that there.
I'll have to go to the bank, get a safe deposit box, just to keep it in a place where it won't harm the rest of the world.
Right. Yeah. It would be like a Pandora's safe deposit box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except it's ProSizes.
Right. So, yeah. And then like some person like 5,000 years from now will like unearth that in an archaeological find, open it, and then it'll start like a movie like The Mummy or something. Everybody's just going to get hurt.
CJ ProSize as the Mummy.
Right. That's what's going to happen.
This took a bad turn. This is not what I expected.
It's cursed.
This is not what I expected to happen. What do you say we thank some members of the flock?
Heck yeah, because they stick around and listen to this nonsense.
If you are this far in and still listening, you really like the show.
You might talk to somebody about that.
Jeremy Green is in at 1212, says, I've been a freeloader for a few years now, but I figured now that you've mentioned me a couple times at jgreen_34, it's time for me to pony up and show my support. So why not go right to the Ring of Honor? Keep up the above average work.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the Ring of Above Average.
I think he's worthy of the title of honor for his contribution.
Oh, no, he is. I'm just saying maybe since we just do above average work, like the Ring of Honor, just everybody as a group, we're just above average there too.
Well, the two of us bring the Ring of Honor down. All the people that are there except for us are top notch.
That's a solid point.
Yeah, I'm glad we got this figured out. Kyler Griffiths is also a member of that Ring of Honor in at 1212.
Oh, welcome.
We got Carla Smith in at 5. Welcome to the flock to Carla.
Heck yeah. And these people also get to participate in the Pick'em League for blockers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So they will definitely not get the CJ ProSize stuff.
No, that will go to a person who doesn't pay.
A freeloader. That's what happens. We give the CJ ProSize stuff to a freeloader because they know what they did.
So if you want to protect yourself and your family, you can become a member of the flock at getintheflock.com.
You know, it's funny. You said earlier you thought I was the better one at motivating people. I'm legitimately scared for those who are freeloading now.
I'm going to donate to our own show now just to make sure that I am free of the ring-like curse.
Right.
So Carlos Smith doesn't have to worry. Carlos Fuentes is in at $3. No worries for you, Carlos. Welcome to the flock. Yeah,
welcome, Carlos.
Pepper in South Carolina. He's maintaining his membership. He gave us an annual donation. He went 1212 times 12 for the donation of whatever that adds up to.
Yeah, like numbers.
Yeah, I think it's in the 150s.
Yeah, it's got to be something like that, right? It's more than 144. I can tell you that.
Right.
I'm math good. But thank you, Pepper. I really appreciate that.
Oh, yeah,
man.
it's 145.
It's
yeah. It's 145.44, right?
I don't know. I was told there'd be no math on this podcast, dude.
Kenneth Reyes upped his contribution to get into the Ring of Honor for, up at 12.12. Thank you, Kenneth.
Heck yeah, man, and welcome.
Garen Taylor also in at 12.12 into the Ring of Honor. This is a good Ring of Honor season.
Absolutely it is. And the thing is that they're making a wise purchase with those dollars to get into the Ring of Honor. Because truth be told, it's literally the only thing I check on the internet anymore.
If you miss Adam...
my Gmail.
Yeah, you got to check your Gmail. Well, and in these long stretches where we may not be able to get to a show, that's where we continue to interact even when we're not doing a show.
Right. Yeah. So that exactly. If you want a taste, if you need your fix, that's the place to get it. And welcome to all these brand new Ring of Honor members. Holy smokes. That's a bunch. I'm very impressed with the flock.
Yeah, oh yeah. And we got another contribution that up to pledge from Maddie Sedone from 1 to 5. So thanks to Maddie.
Heck yeah, Maddie. Welcome to getting your ass kicked in the
Pick'em League.
Yeah.
So getintheflock.com if you want to be a part of that group and if you value your safety. I
love the veiled threats. This could be a new theme for the season. Just veiled threats. So getintheflock.com or have your tires slashed. And moving on.
Yeah, just low key under, you just let it slip by. Yeah. I think you drew a little bit more attention to it than you needed to.
Yeah. Getintheflock.com or have your next plane crash. And moving on.
I don't like that as a guy who's getting on the plane tomorrow.
Oh, I get on the plane a lot more than you, so I should be way more afraid.
That's true. Okay.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the future of the show here for the next few months because...
Oh, yes. If people are getting in the flock, they should be aware because in the past we've talked about, if we hit the 300 flocker level, that we're going to do post-game shows.
Mm-hmm. And
we did it last year.
Yep.
And then we drop back down under 300. So now I feel like we can go back on our previous promise, right?
Right. Yeah, I think so. Well, yeah, it's not going back. It's just sticking to the promise.
Well, but now we can move the number because it dropped underneath it.
Oh,
like now we can move. We can move the goalpost. Yeah. Well, yeah, it dropped down. So now since the goalpost moved in the wrong direction, now we get to move it a little bit. And really, it's not because we want to, but it's because work happens.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I was just doing the math the other day. Up until last week, I was on the road for like 3 months, and I was home a total of 5 days in that 3 months. 5 days. You know what's hard to do? Sit down and do a podcast. And I'll tell you what, on that one day after 2 weeks, like that you're home, you're not super motivated to do a podcast of all things. The couch feels good. Being in your own four walls feels good.
Yeah.
It's just tough. So it's been a bit of a struggle, and it doesn't look like it's getting better because I'm booked out pretty much until Thanksgiving now with work. So I think the new number should be, so that we do post-game shows, is 50,000 little flockers. And that's just $1 a piece. And that would pay my wages, and I could give up the grind and wheels.
Yeah.
It'd be replacement income.
So we're only 49,700 short now.
That's it. Like, it's just right around the corner.
And you know what? I am still planning on doing post-game shows. It'll probably be through field goals, so I can balance out both feeds.
There we go. Yeah, you still get it. We'll do it sometimes when we can. I just don't know how many games I'm going to get to watch live this year.
Yeah. You know what wouldn't be very good podcasting? You getting on and talking about a game you haven't watched. Yeah,
it would be problematic, I think.
You definitely, it's kind of a key to
it's part of the
sounding
deal.
sounding like you know what you're talking about.
Right, which is the only bar I try to hurdle. Is just sounding like I know what I'm talking about, not actually knowing.
Well, just keep that in mind. If you are supporting the show, we definitely appreciate it, and we will like I said, post-game shows, check that out through the Field Goals feed. Adam and I are still going to be planning to get together once a week, and we will work around your work situation, Adam, as best as we can.
Gosh, I hope so, man. It's out of control. Yeah.
So one of the most fun things as we move on that we've gotten to do in our time doing the show, going into our 7th season, which one of the things I'm finding out at Podcast Movement.
Happy anniversary. Catfish! Thanks for remembering.
Yeah. It was, some 6 days ago?
It was 5.5 days ago, Brandon, at 12:32 p.m. And you know what I didn't get? I didn't get a text. I didn't get flowers. I got nothing.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you better be. Jeez.
As a gift, I'm going to share with you something that I learned here at Podcast Movement that also it applies to me, apparently, and now it applies to you. Because when I tell people that I've been podcasting since 2013, they go, oh, wow, you're like an OG podcaster.
Yeah. Look
so
at
you, my friend, you are an OG.
No, Brandon, we're gangster.
Yes.
2 white middle-aged men from Montana.
Original gangster podcasters. Yep. Those are 3 words that I don't think are... I think when they say OG, they don't really mean gangster.
Original grandpa?
We're maybe getting close to grandpa status.
I don't know. I hope that not to be the case. The kid's only 16.
Yeah.
But I'd like to push that off a solid 10 to 15 years.
Me too.
Yeah.
Shout out, though, to the other 40-year-old grandpas out there.
Heck yeah. I mean, that's great. It's just I'm not ready yet.
Yeah.
I want to be an original gangster.
Forever.
Know what I'm saying?
I don't feel comfortable wading into these waters.
Feel the sharks circling?
Yeah, this isn't good.
Yeah, okay.
But one of the things that does make me feel good, the fact that we have done this so long, we went back to episode 19, where we got an email from one of our listeners, Holly Stringer.
Oh, yeah.
We got to meet at the London game. And
hey, that's not a name anymore, by the way. Get it right.
Yes, Holly Allen. And I bet you didn't know that.
I actually did. I'm the one who pointed it out, didn't I?
You pointed out that it changed.
Well, yeah, I was going to make you struggle with it. I wasn't just going to give you the information.
Okay.
And then you sit there and pretend like I don't know? Come on, man. Quit reverse psychologying me.
Well, Holly sent us an email because one of the things we got to do was Colin, her father, was doing a Father of the Bride speech, and he incorporated our telling Holly that she should maybe consider finding a new boyfriend because her now husband Dominic, booked a trip to Rome during the Seahawks Super Bowl win.
Right.
And now they're getting married. And so Colin came to us and said, hey, can you do another video or another talk specifically for the wedding?
Right.
And we got to be part of Holly's wedding.
Yeah, that was fun. All the way across the pond. And I hope... how did Colin put it? How it went? There was a word used there that I think was very British. And I was like, I think that's good.
I don't think I have Colin's email.
No, not on you, but you sent me a text with what he said.
Oh, yeah, yes, I did.
Yeah. And I can't look it up because my phone is recording this podcast, so.
I know, and I have you on my Skype, so there's
no way to look it up.
There's no way to look it up right now.
I'm just saying the word was ambiguous at best, and I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if it really worked out in the end. I decided that it did in my own head, so I felt good about it.
Well, I do have 2 emails, one from Holly and also one from the mother of the bride.
JC.
So we got Holly and JC in. And Holly, let's start with her. She says, hey, I need some advice, guys. My dad gave me an absolutely amazing Father of the Bride speech at my wedding. Aww. He completely surprised me by playing a clip to everyone of the Seahawkers podcast from 6 years ago, where I wrote in to discuss whether or not I should leave my boyfriend, now husband, for booking a trip to Rome Super Bowl weekend. He then played a special podcast clip by my favorite podcasters, Brandan and Adam. Maybe you've heard of them. Who wished us all the...
She put the in the wrong spot.
She did, yeah. Okay. Who wished us all the best for our wedding. So I need to know, how do I thank two awesome guys for helping make my dad's speech even more special and memorable? Thanks so much. It goes without saying that you're both better at life than Skip Bayless. All the best. From Holly Allen.
I think she nailed it. I think she did what she... Yeah.
And she says, P.S., thank you for suggesting Dominic takes me to Rome every Super Bowl. I like that part.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a humble suggestion of what Dominic needs to do to, keep Holly happy for the rest of her life. And if he doesn't, then he'll be a failure as a husband. It was just a gentle nudge. So I hope that works out for her.
Oh, yeah. So what do we... So what... oh, yeah, she thanked us.
She did it. Yeah. Yeah, she doesn't need any advice. She nailed it right there.
Do we not ask for more? I feel like we're in a good position to ask for something more than a thank you.
I know you're starting to learn this negotiating stuff. We talked about it earlier today on the phone, but now's not the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you is enough, Holly.
Right.
And I got to thank you for JC. So on top of it, we just have the whole Stringers clan thanking us. And JC says, Dear Brandon and Adam, I too just want to give you both a huge thank you and hugs. I don't know if you will appreciate just how much your starring role played in making Holly and Dominic's wedding day extra special. You eclipsed Michael Robinson. They got a clip from Michael Robinson, real Mike Rob, for their wedding, too. Colin's father of the bride speech will be talked about for years because of you guys. You are awesome. Go Hawks.
Hey, all right. Well, I mean, not to be a braggart or anything, but I knew it'd be a starring role for us.
I didn't. I thought this was like a minor part.
Dude, I'm just glad that they didn't turn on, like, it didn't make the whole audience turn on Colin. I was worried, man. It
could have gone badly.
As a former wedding photographer for 10 years and watching a lot of speeches, like, there are some train wreck speeches out there that the whole room, like, turns on the poor bastard up there. And it could have gone either way. So I'm glad it was a success.
You know what I couldn't wait to get to in this show after last week's show, Adam? It's the 6 phases of football.
Is this like the 12 Days of Christmas, according to Brian Schneider?
According to our listener, or Brian Schneider, because he brought up the fact that there are apparently 6 phases of football. We didn't know.
What I do love is that we can admit that. And like people like came up with some great suggestions or, theories and didn't shame us for it. So that was nice.
Like Ethan, who says the 6 phases of football: 1, finding a good gum brand; 2, unwrapping the gum; 3, chewing the gum; 4, spitting the gum at Jared Goff; 5, Jared Goff slips and gets hurt; 6, Seahawks win the Super Bowl. How have you guys not heard of the 6 phases?
Go Hawks. That was perfect. Yeah. Perfect. I mean, that's Pete Carroll's 6 phases of football.
Chris Balding says the 6 phases of football that every Brit knows: 1, pregame beer; 2, end of first quarter beer; 3, halftime beer; 4, end of third quarter beers; 5, end of game beer; 6, post game analysis beers. That's the 6 phases.
Nailed it. Like, those are the 6 phases of football. How did I not know? Like, I participate in the 6 phases of football every game.
I feel like those would be different from what Brian Schneider thinks of as the 6 phases, though.
I don't know. Last year, the way the special teams play, he might have been participating in the 6 phases of football, according to who brought that in?
That was from Chris.
From Chris, right? Okay, yeah. I think maybe that was the case. That Brian Schneider was participating in those 6 phases of football that all Brits know.
Here we do have one listener that I think ended up nailing it, and the reason why I think that he's correct in this situation, and this is from Jerv Reed, one of our members of the flock, says if you really want to get technical, offense, defense, of course, and because and this is why this makes complete sense to me, because of course, coming from the special teams coordinator, he's going to break special teams, which should just be 1. He breaks special teams into 4. Punt return, punt coverage, kickoff return, kickoff coverage, because all 4 of those phases can result in points.
And they're all different activity. They're very different plays, right?
So I think Jerv nailed it, because just the arrogance of the special teams coordinator to say, no, I don't have one phase of the game. I have 4.
It's like somebody trying to like tell you how important they are for your life, like a salesman, like, trying to sell you on something. And it's not really all that important, but they try to make it sound important.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what he was doing there. No, you need me. You need me as your special teams coach, because it's like 4 phases.
You should pay me more than the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. They only have 1 phase. I have 4 phases. And
not only that, you should pay me more than the 2 of them combined, because they only oversee 2 phases. I'm doing 4 phases. He should start negotiating this way. I think this would be much better for him. See, this is the time for negotiation, Brandan. This is the point.
I now, instead of wanting to be, because I feel like the glamorous coaching jobs are offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Now I want to be a special teams coordinator.
Hell yeah. You get paid pretty good. Nobody ever calls your ass out. Most people don't even know you're on the team as a coach.
He's the one coach that's been with Pete Carroll since the beginning, since he moved from USC. He followed Pete Carroll to USC, and there's been some bad special teams years. He's still here.
Yep. Nobody said a word. Most people confuse him with either Brian Schottenheimer or John Schneider. Yeah.
I don't think this is most people. I think it's you.
No, that's all the people. It's an incognito name. It's very sneaky.
That's how we stuck with the team.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to Jerv for coming up with what I must assume are the actual 6 phases.
Yes.
Michael Walters on Facebook says, am I crazy for thinking the Hawks should make a move for Jadeveon Clowney? We obviously need D-line help, and we seem to have 99 linebackers. Maybe ship Mingo for a late-round pick.
Yeah, so I had read one article about it where they were suggesting that we were a good candidate for that, being that we have cap space, and John Schneider has cojones más grande and will actually go after trades. And the writer of the article suggested that you offer him a second and see what happens. I would totally trade a second-round pick for Clowney.
Oh, yeah. Well, even a late-round first.
Yeah, we don't use him anyways.
We won't need a running back next year.
No. Yeah, we're going to milk Chris Carson out of his rookie contract and then kick him to the curb.
Yeah, I like the idea of Clowney. And they have the money, it seems like.
Yeah. Why not?
There we go.
I mean, they may not trade him to you. I mean, after they traded Dwayne Brown to us, like their offensive line has been a dumpster fire, then, the next worst thing would be to trade Clowney to us, and then their defensive line becomes a dumpster fire.
I think it's a pretty limited chance that he's coming here.
I think it's a pretty limited chance that he doesn't end up in Houston for the year. What's your motivation as a Houston Texan to the front office of the Houston Texans to trade him? Why? He's going to have to play.
Why did the Raiders get rid of Khalil Mack?
Because Gruden's a little crazy.
And Bill O'Brien's such a great coach.
I've thrown him under the bus every opportunity I've got because, yes, he's terrible. But he's the coach, not the GM.
But he's kind of the GM. How many GMs have they cycled through under the Bill O'Brien watch?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, he's the new Rasputin of the NFL. He's the new Denny Green.
One more email from Mr. John Davison said, I thought it was time that I dropped you a line, so here it is. The NFL as you know it has never been bigger over here, and John is in England. But as soon as the Super Bowl is over, it drops off a cliff. True, Sky does do a draft, but that's about it. So thank goodness for your musings during the offseason, and a big shout for Rob Staten, especially as he is a Brit. I have not missed an episode, of course, during these long months. But I have just took it all in as I do not have the relative information in order to contribute. So I listen, learn, and take note. But now we are coming out of the long night and I can chip in again. So hurrah! I noticed yesterday the Sky broadcasted the Canton Hall of Fame game. I watched it and it was catfish. However, Sky also announced that it was showing 4 preseason games, so I get to watch the Hawks and the Vikings, so I feel like I'm coming out of hibernation. We are back, and I get to see our new players that you have spoke about at length. Jaron Reed is a big disappointment, and I'm not really sure why, as again, I lack the detail. On a financial note, I am upbeat for the season, and having had a look at the odds, I think the 28-1 for the Super Bowl is a reasonable punt, and I may have a few Davison pounds riding on it. Barry thinks I'm crackers, but hey, he's a Skins fan. Starting to get excited now and can't wait. Go Hawks, from John. And he says, P.S. Still no book review. I wait in anticipation. And John, the book review is coming. It's coming. I will have it into you within the week because I'm almost finished with the book. I brought it with me. I brought it with me to Orlando.
Oh, well, good deal, man. Yeah, it's John's book has gone from my house to the cabin at the bookshelf at the cabin because I'm more apt to read books at the cabin, rather than like news. And so, yeah, that's why it's there, and I'm ready.
I think we got the book maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah,
and
you know what my favorite part about John's emails usually are? Is that his cadence in the way that he speaks and writes is obviously opposite of yours in the struggle that you have to get through. Because when you hang out with John, he speaks rather eloquently, and he's very persuasive, and it all sounds really, completely flowing. It not kind of disjointed and you know
weird. What I think it is? I think it's like Shakespeare. Like, I had all kinds of trouble with Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And I bet if I took John's email and I sat down and I studied it properly and didn't just read it cold, it would sound amazing.
You think you could?
Send me another one, John. Next time I'm gonna memorize John's next email and I'm gonna crush it.
Okay.
So just so you stop giving me crap about it.
Are you going to do it with a British accent?
That's a big ask. Memorized with a British accent?
It was an ask. It wasn't a demand.
I don't have as good a British accent as somebody like Hong Kong Hawk, Dave Bloomquist. So
yeah, well, not all of us could be as talented as Dave.
I hope he got enough of the Jaron Reed information from us.
The Jaron Reed? Oh, yeah. We tried.
It was a domestic violence incident 2 years ago.
Correct.
With a girlfriend who was mad that apparently he had a relationship with a stripper, and she was his girlfriend of a month, and things got heated.
Strippers never make things calmer.
I think that's a bad way to go.
Strippers?
No, to introduce your current girlfriend to a former stripper that you dated. That just seems like a recipe for bad things going bad.
Look, I mean, I'm no rocket surgeon, but that I avoid such things.
And we're saying stripper just because the fact that she was named as a stripper in the police report. Like, I don't know if that's her profession.
It sounds like it if the police said so.
I mean, I got to take their word. They never accuse
anybody falsely of anything, so I'm sure it's true.
That's what that was my big takeaway from the police report. Was she really a stripper, or was she dressed as a stripper? Because these could be two different things. And it's a really poor assumption.
Because if it's Halloween, all women get in touch with their like inner stripper and like dress up.
It's a Halloween costume.
Yeah. It's how it works. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Well, around football season, it is kind of the Halloween season. You could be trying on a costume.
Right.
That would be...
Maybe they're into role play.
You don't know.
Yeah.
And I feel the police could have been making an assumption that they shouldn't have.
Yeah, like I said, they never do such things, so I don't know why you'd question it.
What do you say we get on to some do better and better at life?
Yeah, let's do that so we can finish this up.
My do better this week is for our quarterback, Russell Wilson. And you hinted at it the whole show, going with the man bun or whatever the other technical term is for it. I've already forgotten.
Knot tie thing.
Not.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Tie knot? Tiny knot?
Up knot?
Up do?
Top up?
Not do? I don't know. Whatever it is.
But yes, our quarterback, watching the video about how he now owns a part of the Sounders, not purchased the entire team, which is cool. I love that he likes sports. He wants to own a new piece of the Sonics when, trying to bring basketball back to
so if somebody
Seattle.
Offers him an old piece of the Sonics, would he reject it? He only wants a new piece of the Sonics?
He wants a new piece of the old Sonics.
Or a piece of the new Sonics?
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'll just clarify.
What are we talking about?
Russell Wilson and his plot to dominate the Seattle sports world, and how he's starting.
And yes, now he's part of Man Bun Nation apparently, and I don't like it. Russell, what are you doing? Name one good quarterback who is part of Man Bun Nation, or even up top Tie Knot Nation.
Yeah,
there's no Hall of Fame bus with a quarterback, or really any player that I can think of, with a man bun. Russell.
Science.
Do better.
Yeah, do better. Do you think maybe it's his kind of attempt to be a Bond villain since he's trying to take over the entire Seattle sports scene?
Ooh, this is a consideration that I have not thought of.
Just saying. It feels like a Bond villain hairdo.
Russell does not strike me as a Bond villain.
That's what makes him the perfect Bond villain. You never suspect him.
Until it's too late.
And then it's curtains. All right, my do better this week. It's going to be short and sweet just because I'm mad that this happened to me today. Got up early, went and worked at the mill. Kind of hurt myself a little bit. I'm okay. But, just a little sore getting done. And when I returned to the hotel room in this, hot box of a canyon that Lewiston, Idaho sits in, I walk to the elevator and I see the technician standing in there and I go, this doesn't look good. And he just looks at the panel and he hits it kind of hard and goes, catfish. So this entire afternoon, the elevator has been out of service. And guess which floor I get to be on?
6?
The top floor.
Yeah.
Which is 4. It's the top floor.
That's too many floors.
Hauling my sorry ass up and down the stairs, which I normally don't mind. I'm just a little sore and freaking tired today. And then because I'm tired and I forget crap, I've had to do like 15 extra trips up and down the stairs. I think I've climbed probably 18 to 40 stories of stairs today, all because the Red Lion in freaking Lewiston, Idaho can't get their freaking poop in a group and have a functioning elevator. Red Lion, do better.
This hotel that I'm staying at, it has hallway after hallway. It's practically the hotel in The Shining with how many hallways it has.
Yeah.
Which I don't like at all. But I did the same thing. I got, I think, all the way down the elevator, realized I didn't have my conference badge, and had to go all the way back up the elevator, go down 15 hallways, because my room is on the exact opposite, on the very top floor from where I have to be every day. And I've been getting a workout too. Even with a working elevator, I have had to go a long way.
Okay, because I was just checking to see what you're whining about, because it sounded like you didn't have to climb any stairs.
No stairs. But you try going down 152 hallways to try and find your room.
Yeah, I have been in those hotels that are like a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Like for no reason. Like you could easily make it like something that makes sense, but instead there's like little cubicles here and there, like pods of rooms and like interconnecting, weaving hallways. If
you were to fly over in an airplane and look down at the hotel, it would look like a stick, like a tree branch with no leaves on it.
I see.
And I'm at the tippy part of the stick.
Oh, you never want to be at the tippy part of a stick.
No.
All right. Well, that said, I'm going to go with my better at life because it's not related to anything. And like, it's just, I don't have anything. So you're just going to hear about my day. So
okay.
my better at life than Skip Bayless for this week is for IFG in Lewiston, Idaho, the company I'm working for, because it was a little nostalgic today. I went into the mill and I started talking to the head filer, and there's like 24 band mill wheels to grind in that mill. And they're all housed in this old building that was built in like 1912 or something like that. It's all like giant wooden framed, and it's just really cool. It has its own smell and like all that. This happens to be the mill that I learned to grind band mill wheels in.
Oh.
Like this was the very first one. This is ground zero for this.
Back to your roots.
Yeah, like I have memories here. Like the first day that I showed up and I just desperately didn't want to look like a dumbass in front of my dad, who's been doing this forever, right? And so I'm walking around the middle like I know what the hell I'm doing, and immediately trip on one of the catwalk stairs, eat shit catfish face down, carve up my hands on the catwalk. My hard hat flew off and went all the way to the basement, which, by the way, has never happened to me again in 6 years of doing this. Like it's hard to do that. And I look like a douche, like right out of the gate, right? And my dad just looks at me and I'm like, so it's down there. And he's just like, shakes his head and is just like, God, my idiot son. And like has to climb all the way, like stories down into the basement to retrieve my heart out. Meanwhile, our buddy Jared's laughing his ass off like the whole time, right?
Uh-huh.
So I was informed today that the entire building is being torn down and they're taking out all that equipment, which is a bummer financially because that was a really good job for me. And they're just, taking it down to one bandsaw. So I only have 2 wheels to do here forevermore. But for the memories, for giving me my start in this obscure, weird, random little business. And just that building was super cool. Better at life than Skip Bayless.
Yeah, you don't want to fall down on that kind of that kind of material.
No. It's bad for your deal.
Well, while I gave Russell Wilson a do better, I can't let that hang there for too long.
Okay.
My better at life this week is for Russell Wilson for investing in the Sounders. And I like this because, not that I'm a huge soccer fan, it's because Russell Wilson is using a portion of his new contract to invest back in the local Seattle community. And it makes it less likely that we'll have to deal. I mean, we're still going to have the rumors when it comes around to his next deal, but it makes it a little bit less likely that he's leaving town. He's had so much time invested in the Seattle Children's Hospital. He's invested in trying to bring the Sonics back to Seattle. Yeah, and now he's a part of the Sounders. So for Russell Wilson, investing in the local community, better at life than Skip Bayless.
I like it. It does. It provides roots. Another reason not to leave.
You know what? A reason for us never to leave is because our wonderful members of the flock who are in at $12 and above. And we're going to close out the show by thanking our amazing supporters at 12 and above.
Keith Ketover, a.k.a. Flocktimus Prime, University of Cybertron, Little Flockers, roll out.
DCH from Sparks, Nevada, the University of Montana Grizzlies.
Annalisa Mickelson, a.k.a. Mrs. Doug Baldwin, New York, New York, undergrad, University of North Carolina, Greensboro, graduate school, Brooklyn College.
Eric Trench, rooting for the Seahawks out of Renton, Washington, graduated from Eastern Washington University.
Gary Blum from Chappaqua, New York, and the University of Pennsylvania, your 2016 Pick'em League champion.
Ron Pepper, UNLV Runnin' Rebels, San Francisco, California.
Tickety-boo! This here is Hong Kong Hawk, it is. From Hawkfordshire Meadows, just north of Chelsea, yeah?
Kevin Stengen, Keene, Texas.
Ella Esparza, Woodway, Texas. Yale University and Sam Houston State, Eat 'em Up Cats.
Lisa in Seattle.
Sam Sullivan from the wonderful land of Oz, the Forte State University.
Paul from San Diego.
Vincent Parker, Emily Carr, University of Art Design, RN Collective.
Samuel Gelber, NoHo, California.
David Van Cleve, Camas, Washington, home of the Papermakers.
Garrett Strongbanks, Northern Ontario, Georgian College.
Jameson Holman from Murray, Utah, representing Mississippi State University. Hail State and go Hawks.
Hey Seahawkers, my name is Garen Taylor, and my Pick'em League name is Guaranteed Seahawks Fan. I live in one of the most beautiful places in the world, North Idaho. Hashtag on the Rose. Go Hawks.
And continuing the list of supporters at 12 and above, got associate producer Dustin Mock, Ross in Eureka, California, Christina in Manassas, Virginia, Sven in Berlin, Deutschland, James in Linwood, Roe in Federal Way, Becca in Manhattan Beach, California, Kevin in Snohomish, Young in Anchorage, Tim in Austin, John Paul in Palmer, Alaska, Kathy in Eureka, California, Joshua in London, Brandan in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Christian in Bergen, Norway. John in New York. Pepper in Greenville, South Carolina. Jared in Missoula. Jonathan in Ridgefield. Thomas in the Bronx. Glenn in Sanford, Florida. Keegan in Colorado Springs. John in Pierce, Nebraska. Mitchell in Roseville, California. Owen in Ashburn, Ireland. Jeffrey in Kansas City. Kari in Rochester. Jeff in Waddell, Arizona. Brian in Berlin, Connecticut. Gary in Kaneohe, Hawaii. Eric in Seattle. Tracy in Kaneohe, Hawaii. Brian in Sugar Land, Texas. Connie in Gothenburg, Sweden. Taylor in South Cle Elum. Dean in the Greater Hockdom. Marvin in Riverdale, Utah. Brian in the Greater Hockdom. JC in Billericay, England. Lisa in Kelowna, BC. Scott in Fresno, California. Paul in Minneapolis. Seth in Tacoma. Don in the Pacific Northwest. Eric in Clovis, California. Chris in Spokane. Shannon in Florida. John in the Greater Hockdom. Shoko in New York. Greg in Seattle. Ryan in Chatham, England. Ben in Wrexham, Wales. Bryson in Eltopia. Kenneth in Hutto, Texas. DK in Ferndale. Kyler in Plainfield, Illinois. And Jeremy in Moses Lake. A huge thanks to all of our supporters in the month of August. I know I said it last month when I said this would be the last time we would be doing thank yous without football. And now this is the last time I'll be saying we'll be doing thank yous until the start of the 2019 season officially coming up in September. Appreciate everyone's support.
And I think with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.